Look around you this table, the water in your glass, the air you are breathing, even the food you are eating. All of it is made of matter. And we already covered this in episode 0. But here is the interesting question: how do we actually know that matter is made of tiny particles? We cannot normally see atoms or molecules with our eyes. So, how did scientists become convinced that these invisible particles really exist? To answer that, we need to go back almost 200 years ago. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my science diary. I'm so glad you're here. So, what are we going to discover in today's episode? By the end of this video, you should be able to explain how scientists developed the idea that matter is made of tiny particles. We will travel back to 1827 and look at the Robert Brown fascinating observation of moving pollen grains. Then we will see how the Einstein helped explain this mysterious movement. Finally, we will look around us and identify everyday evidence that particles are constantly moving, from dust dancing in sunlight to the smell of food spreading throughout the air. And by the end, you will understand why this observation provide evidence for the particles model of matter. So, without any further delay, let's get started. For centuries, scientists and philosophers suggested that substances such as water and air might be made of extremely tiny particles. The idea made sense, but there was a problem. They could not see the particles. And if you cannot see something, how can you prove that it is really there? So the idea remained a fascinating hypothesis for a long time. Then, in 1827, a botanist named Robert Brown was examining the pollen from a flower under a microscope. He placed the pollen in the water and noticed something strange. The tiny pollen grains were moving, they were constantly jiggling around. But Robert Brown had a puzzle. Why were they moving? Pollen is not alive, so what was making these tiny grains move? At first, it might be tempting to think that the pollen itself was alive and moving, but Brown investigated further. The movement continued even though the pollen itself was not alive. But this created an important scientific question: could something invisible be causing the movement? Okay, here I want to ask a question from you. If you were Robert Brown, what would you investigate next? And today we call this random movement is called Brownian movement, which is the random erratic movement of a tiny particle suspended in a fluid. This happens because they are constantly colliding with the fast moving molecules of the surrounding liquid or gas. But Brown himself did not know exactly what was causing it. So remember, he could see the pollen grains, but he could not see the particles of water heating them. Then something remarkable happened. About 70 years later, in 1905, Albert Einstein provided a mathematical explanation for Brownian motion. His explanation showed that the pollen grains were being hit from the different directions by enormous number of tiny invisible particles of water. Let's try to understand this. Imagine pollen grains surrounded by the millions of invisible water particles. These water particles are constantly moving. They collide with the pollen grains from the different directions. Some more particles hit one side than the other. The result is a tiny movement. Then another collision happens and another. So the pollen grains appears to ziggle randomly. And this random movement of pollens provided evidence for the existence of invisible particles in the water. So, this was a beautiful example of how science works. Robert Brown made an observation, science asked questions about the observations, Einstein provided an explanation based on the idea of tiny particles, and the movement of pollens became the evidence supporting the particle model of matter. So, today, the idea that matter is made of tiny particle is a fundamental part of science. But you might still be thinking, fine, that happened under a microscope. But can I find evidence for a particles in everyday life? Absolutely. In fact, there are examples happening around you all the time. Let's investigate four of them. Think about a room when sunlight enters through a window. Sometimes you can see the tiny specks of dust moving around in a beam of light. They appear to dance randomly through the air, but remember the dust itself is not simply moving because it has decided to dance. The dust particles are being constantly bombarded by the tiny invisible particles of air. So, the dust is the evidence of the movement of invisible particles in the air. Now, come to our second example. Imagine someone cooking food in the kitchen. You may be in another room, but after some time, you can smell the food. How did those smell producing particles reach your nose? They spread through the air. This spreading is called diffusion. It happens because particles are constantly moving. Okay, now you tell me, if air particles were completely still, would the smell spread through the room? No. The movement of particle helps explain why smells spreads. Okay, to see the example 3, now let's move into the laboratory. Imagine placing a small crystal of purple potassium permanganate into a beaker of water. At first, the purple color is concentrated near the crystal, but gradually the purple color spread throughout the water, even without stirring it. So now my question is, what is making the purple color spread? It spread because the particles from the crystals leave the solid and spread among the water particles. This is the another example of diffusion. It gives us evidence that particles are constantly moving. Our fourth example involves the gases. Imagine a container containing bromine vapors connected to another container containing air. Initially, the bromine particles are concentrated in one region, but over the time, the bromine particles spread out and mix with the air particles. Eventually, the gases become mixed throughout the available spaces. And this happens because the gas particles are constantly moving. So let's put our four observations together. Dust moves because it is bombarded by the moving air particles. Cooking smell spreads because particles moves throughout the air. Potassium permanganate spread through the water because particles moves. And the bromine mixes with air because the gas particles are constantly moving. We may not be able to see the individual particles directly, but we can observe their effects. And this is an important lesson about science. Scientists don't always have to see something directly to know that it exists. They can collect the evidence, observe pattern, create models, and test explanations. The particle model helps us explain many things we observe around us. And now we can return to our original mystery. Robert Brown saw the pollen grains moving. He could not see the cause. Then Einstein later explained that invisible particles of water were constantly colliding with the pollen. That tiny movement became an important piece of evidence for the existence and motion of microscopic particles. Okay, before we finish, I want you to think like a scientist. Don't just remember the definitions, use the particle model to explain what you observe. Okay, now I have a question for you. Think a sealed room contain perfumes. After some time, the perfume smell can be detected far from where it was released. So now my question is, what does this tells us about the particles and the gases?
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit
So
of
the
drool on
answer
my
is
pillow, feel
gas
like
particles are constantly moving and can spread through the diffusion. So the next time you smell food from the kitchen, see dust dancing in the sunlight, watch a color spread through the water, or see gases mix. Remember, you are seeing the effect of particles that you cannot see, and that is the one of the most powerful idea in the chemistry. Sometimes we understand the invisible by studying its visible effects. So, we have seen evidence that tiny particles are constantly moving, but how exactly do these particles spread from one place to another place? In our next video, we will take a closer look at a fascinating process called diffusion, and we will finally meet the tiny particles that make all of that possible. So, what exactly is diffusion and what are these tiny particles actually made of? Let's find out in our next video.
Until then, stay curious, keep learning, and remember chemistry is not just about the chemical in a laboratory, it is a science that explains the world around us. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video lesson.